Okay, on this you're solving various types of equations. Now, this video, it might sound like I'm getting too analytical with how simple it is. That's fine. You don't need to use my analytics. If you can just know what to do, it's fine. Okay. And all these we're solving for the x variable. That's your goal. So we have x minus 13 equals negative 15. Now, when I say overly analytical, I'm going to be going through a checklist with each problem. You might, again, most of you in this class probably might not need that, but if it helps, that's fine. Okay, any subtraction operators got to go. I'm going to make that plus negative 3. That's the way I'm going to approach it. If you have any, we don't have any parentheses. Why do I care about that? X multiplier, know your x multipliers or dividers. Well, this one's easy. They don't have any. There's no number in front. No number below, no number in front with no sign between. Okay, I generally at this point, I kind of like to circle the x with its multipliers or dividers, and it doesn't have any, so it's easy enough. Okay, add like terms on each side of the equation where possible. Don't have to worry about that on this problem. Here's the only addition operation, and these are not like terms. Make sure you have an x on just one side of the equation. We do. Undo adding. So we have a negative 3, so we're going to plus 3. And x is going to equal negative 12, and we have no multiplication or division to undo, so that's the answer. Okay, next problem. Negative 15 equals x divided by negative 2. Fix any subtraction. We don't have any. Any parentheses? Nope. Know your x multipliers or dividers. Well, we have a divider. I like to circle the x along with any multipliers or dividers. Add or collect like terms on each side of the equation. Well, there's no adding period in this, so why would there wouldn't be any like terms. Make sure you have x on just one side of the equation. Right here I do. Undo adding. There's no adding to undo. Undo multiplication, division. So we have the division we have to undo. But we're just going to multiply negative 15 by negative 2. Again, multiplication is commutative, so I would suggest you don't overthink the order because it doesn't matter. So 30 equals x. Okay, next problem. Negative 18 equals negative 2/9 x. You have no subtractions. These are both negatives. They're not minuses because they're the first number, they're the first thing we have on each side. Well, you can't really subtract if you're not subtracting from anything, so they're negatives. Parentheses, nope. Know your x multipliers or dividers. Here we actually have one of each, okay? Negative 2 is multiplied by the x, and 9 is a divider of the x. So I'm going to circle both those with the x. Collect like terms on each. Well, there's no adding again, so how could I add like terms? And there's no adding period. Make sure you have an x on just one side. Got it. Undo adding. Again, we don't have any adding to undo. Undo multiplication, division. Okay, now you have both of them to undo. Undo the division first, okay? Because to undo division, you multiply, and we know multiplication's commutative. So the easiest way is to undo the division by multiplying. So negative 18 times 9 is negative 162, and that is equal to negative 2 times x. Now undo the multiplication, which is to divide. So negative 162 divided by negative 2 is 81 equals x. Okay, negative 14 equals negative 5 plus 3x. Fix the subtraction operators. Don't have any. If you have parentheses, use the distributive property. Know your x, we don't have any, so know your x multipliers or dividers. So here's x. It has a 3 multiplier, no divider. Add like terms on each side of the equation where possible. Here's the only adding I had, and these are not like terms. Make sure you have x on just one side of the equation. I do. Undo any adding. So we have to undo this adding of negative 5. So it's negative 5, so we're going to add 5. and then we need to add 5 to the other side. Negative 14 plus 5 is negative 9 equals 3x, 3 times x. Okay, undo multiplication or division. So we have to undo the multiplication, doing the opposite, which is to divide. So negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3. So negative 3 equals x. Okay, now we're going to do some problems on the back side. 26 equals x divided by 6 plus 5, solving for x here. There's no subtraction, there's no parentheses, so I don't worry about this. Know your x multipliers or dividers. It has no multiplier, but it's being divided by 6. Add like terms on each side of the equation where possible. Well, here's the adding, but this has x and this doesn't, so those are not like terms. Okay, make sure you have x on just one side, which we do. Now undo the adding, so you're going to undo the adding of 5. 26 minus 5 is 21, and that's equal to x divided by 6. Now undo that division simply by multiplying. 21 times 6 is 126. Okay, this next one can be kind of irritating. You have no subtraction operators, but you do have a parentheses, but you're not going to really use the distributive property because instead of 9 multiplying through, they're both divided by 9. So what you do is cancel out the division of 9 first, and you do that by just multiplying by 9 to get rid of it, and then multiplying 2 by 9. And then 2 times 9 is 18, so x plus 10 equals 18. So now the parentheses is gone. Know your x multipliers or dividers. Well, that's easy. I don't have any, okay? Or it's one or the other. Okay, collect like terms. Here's the adding. Those are not like terms. Make sure you have x on just one side of the equation. We do. Undo the adding. So minus 10, and x is going to equal 8 here. And I don't have any multiplying or dividing to do. Okay, 3 minus x divided by 2 equals 6. Fix your subtraction operator, and then make that negative. But then if you put a negative in front of a variable, you really need to put a 1 multiplier there too, so you know that that's being multiplied by negative 1. Okay, you don't have any parentheses. Okay, your x has a multiplier of negative 1 and a divider of 2. Collect like terms on each side of the equation where possible. Well, here's the only adding, but we have x and no x, so we can't do that. Make sure you have x on just one side of the equation, not a problem. Undo the adding, so we have a 3 being added, so it's positive, so we want to take away 3. So negative 1x divided by 2 equals 3. Okay, undo we have division. We have both of these. We have to undo. Undo the division first. Because to undo division, you multiply, and multiplying is commutative. So negative 1x equals 6, and now I undo the multiplication of negative 1 by dividing. So it's going to be negative 6. Okay, next problem, subtraction. Yeah, we got subtraction x minus 2. Now, if you have parentheses, you have to use the distributive property. So I do. I have x and 10. Now, these are non-like terms, so I need to distribute the negative 2 to each one. I would suggest putting a 1 in front of the x so you know what you're actually going to take the negative 2 times, if your x doesn't have a number. If you have to do the distributive property, make sure there's 2 numbers in there. And if you don't have one, then the variable takes a 1 in front. Okay, so you have negative 2 times 1 and x and negative 2 times 10. So the first product's going to need an x. So negative 2 times 1 is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 10 is negative 20. So as soon as we write those 2 products down with the adding, we cross out the 2 non-like terms as well as the negative 2. Now before I write equals, I need to add x over here before equaling 12. Okay, Okay, know your x multipliers or dividers. So here we have a -2 multiplier, and here we don't have a multiplier. So now the -20 is an adding operation. This doesn't have a multiplication, so I'm going to circle it. It'll have a 1 if I need it, okay? If I need it. Okay, collect like terms on each side of the equation where possible. So this side we just have a 12. This side we have -2x added to -20 added to x. These x's are like terms, okay? They need to be added. So I would suggest we put a 1 in front of the x, and we need to add -2 plus 1. If you have like terms of x on a side, they need to be added. Now, if one of the x's doesn't have a number in the front, a coefficient in the front, we're going to put a 1 there. That's called a coefficient number. This already had a -2, so there were these two x's that were there were 3 things being added. 2 of them were x's, so the x's are like terms to combine. Now, I didn't see a number here, so I put a 1 there. So -2 plus 1 is -1x, and then I need to add -20 behind that before equaling 12. Okay, now make sure you have x on just one side of the equation. I do, okay? Undo the adding, okay? So remember, -1's the multiplier. So the -20 is what's being added, so I'm going to have plus 20 and plus 20. So -1 times x equals 32. And then finally, undo your multiplication of -1 by dividing. So that gives me -32. Okay, next one. Subtraction 2 that's going to become 2 plus -3x. You have a parentheses here with 2 non-like terms, so you need to distribute the 3 to each of those. So we got 42 equals, and then I do the distributive property. Now this time it's the second product that's going to have the x variable, not the first. 3 times 2 will be 6, and 3 times -3 is -9x. And there's nothing else we have to add there. And go from there. Know your x multipliers or dividers. So x has a -9 multiplier, does not have a divider. Like terms, here's my plus, but these are not like terms. Make sure you have x on just one side. We do, it's right here. Undo the adding. Okay, so we have a 6 being added. So I have -6, -6, so 36 equals -9 times x. And then undo the multiplication of -9 by dividing. 36 divided by -9 equals -4. Okay, next problem. 3x plus 4 equals 5x minus 10. Here's a subtraction, make it plus negative. If we don't have a parentheses, don't worry about that. Know your x multipliers or dividers. So here we have an x with a 3 multiplier, an x with a 5 multiplier. That multiplying number is also known as a coefficient. Okay. Collect like terms on each side of the equation where possible. Here's a plus. Those are not like terms. Here's another, and then on the other side we have a plus. These are not like terms. Now you're like, well, those are like terms. Yeah, but they're on opposite sides. I'm just looking at one side at a time. So each side means you do. Okay, make sure you have x on just one side of the equation. Well, that's a problem here because we have x on both sides. So what we need to do, if that's a problem, is balance the equation. So I would recommend we just eliminate the smaller x term. So 3x is smaller, so I put 3x, and since we have a positive here, I would subtract it. Now to balance the equation, we go to the other side of the equals and subtract 3x from 5x, because what I'm subtracting from here, I got to subtract here. So I have 4 equals 2x plus -10, and now we have x just on one side of the equation. Okay, undo the adding. Well, we know it's being multiplied by 2, so I have a -10 being added, so I would plus 10. So 14 equals 2x. And then we undo the multiplication of 2 by dividing, of course. So that's 7. Okay, next problem. 4x minus 5, so make that plus negative, equals 2 times 2x plus 1 in quantity in parentheses. So, subtraction I already fixed. You have a parentheses with two non-like terms, so you need to distribute the 2 to each one of those. So you have 4x plus negative 5. On the other side, you have 4x plus 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, and you have no anything else to add there, so you're good. Okay, know your x multipliers are dividers, so we have a 4x and another 4x. Like terms on each side, so this side of the equation, here's my plus, those are not like terms. The other side, here's my plus, those are not like terms. Make sure you have x on just one side of the equation. Well, again, we have that problem we had here. They're on opposite sides. So take the smaller one. Oh, there is no smaller one. That's even better yet. I can cross them out and cancel them. And this becomes an either all solution or no solution. Is negative 5 equal to 2? It's a real easy question. I don't think that it is, so that's no solution. Okay, subtraction, don't have them. Parentheses, yep, we do. Okay, now when I distribute the 3, I want to make sure there's a 1 as the x multiplier there, so I distribute to each. Distribute to each. So 3 times 1x is 3x. 3 times 1.5 is 4.5. And there's nothing else to add over there. 1.5 times 2x then is 3x. And 1.5 times 3 is 4.5, and there's nothing else to add over there. Okay, know your x multipliers and dividers. So here we have an x with a 3 and an x with a 3, and I think you know what's going to happen. Again, the adding of like terms, you can't add these and you can't add those. So that's a no-go on that step. Make sure you have x on just one side of the equation. Well, we don't. So let's get rid of the smaller one. Balance the smaller one out. Well, there is no smaller one, so these go away. 4.5 equals 4.5. That's true. They are equal. So this is all solution. The difference between this and this is, in this problem, no number you put in for x. There doesn't exist a number to put in for x to make this side equal to this side. Here, any number you put in for x makes this side equal to this side. Main